I got to talk to you about this constitutional issue. As you know, it's starting to percolate around the country. In Quebec, it's called Bill 96. It's the language bill tabled last week. Two proposals to change Canada's constitution. These additions would say Quebecers form a nation and French shall be the only official language of Quebec. It's also the common language of the Quebec nation. The Prime Minister handed the Quebec the green light to make those changes, but many constitutional experts I've spoken to and who have written about this disagree. They say Quebec does not have the unilateral right to make this kind of constitutional amendment. It violates Section 43 of the Charter, the amendment provision, which explicitly states that the House of Commons, the Senate, and at least 7 provinces and 50% of the population are needed to make changes to language rights like this. In other words, this is beyond Quebec's power. Why does Quebec believe it has the unilateral power to override the amending provision?
Well, there are two things. First of all, what does it say? I think it says what most Canadians agree upon, which is that Quebec is unique in Canada and that in Quebec we speak French. I think most Canadians can rally themselves around that. Besides, the federal parliament has already said that Quebec is a nation already. The reason why we believe we can do it, well, is because the Constitution of 1867 is divided into 3 sections. The first section is for shared powers. One of the sections is for federal powers, and the section that we're addressing is the one that touches Quebec only. And in the past, the federal government has made unilateral changes to its sections, and in the past, we've done the same on our section. So we believe that it's constitutional. But again, let's not forget, it's saying what everybody already agrees upon, that Quebec is distinct in Canada, and I think we can agree on that.
But Mr. Skeete, the changes, the constitutional changes within the machinery of the province have been under a section that I know I don't want to get too technical here, but it's under Section 45, okay? And I appreciate that. Other changes have been made. But this is different. This is not an internal Quebec matter, but a national issue, which is why it falls under Section 43. And many scholars say, look, even if you think this is already a given that people agree, you cannot unilaterally change the Constitution. It would have an impact. I'll just read you what one scholar, Emmett McFarland, said. Section 43 of the amending formula provides, quote, any amendment to any provision that relates to the use of the English or French language within a province requires the approval of, as I said, the federal, the House, the Senate, and the Legislative Assembly of each province to which the amendment applies. They basically say your government can't do it. So how do you get around that?
Well, humbly, we disagree. We have constitutional lawyers that tell us that we can. And furthermore, I think it bears noting that the Minister of Justice for Quebec is a constitutional scholar, and he's the one that put it in there. So I trust the process that what we're doing is okay and that it follows all the rules. But at the same token, again, I think it's important that Canadians remember that we're not doing anything that people haven't already tacitly approved and already accepted, that Quebec is a unique jurisdiction in Canada and that in Quebec we speak French.
I understand that. But to be fair, the Charter was written for citizens, not just for constitutional experts. And one of the things that the Charter does is it protects language rights. It is a language guarantee. And there have been lots of cases, whether it's the 1979 case referring to Bill 101 that protected language rights, whether it's the protecting the use of language in the National Assembly or the protect the use of languages like English in the justice system. The worry is that this new law and this passage unilaterally will give Quebec the right, for example, to take away the use of English in courts or in the use of translation in the National Assembly. Those are powers Quebec cannot unilaterally give itself.
And I think therein lies the biggest problem that people have with this new bill, is the fear that somehow this will translate into less access or less rights for the English community. And I just want to reassure the English population of Quebec, but also our fellow Canadians, that that's not the intention of Bill 96. Bill 96 actually enshrines the fact that English-speaking Quebecers are allowed and will always have access to their court system, access to government services, access to healthcare in their language. Those are guarantees that were not in scope of Bill 96, and that's something that I made personally sure of.
Yeah, well, we'll see again. I think this may be subjected to a constitutional challenge. I know there's going to be a lot of debate about it, but it's a fascinating change here right now. Mr. Skeete, I really appreciate our conversations. Thanks for taking the time today.
Anytime, Evan. I'm always available to talk about Quebec's unicity on your show.
Yeah. Yeah, well, listen, we need to talk about it. It's the country, and we got to talk about it. Okay.